And welcome back to the Talkoffamepod podcast, part two, basically, to me and Mickey. But I'm super excited for today's episode because I'm interviewing Phillies ambassador, former MLB All-Star, 1988 Olympic gold medalist, three-time All-Star, 1993 NL champion, Micky Morandini. A lot of you know I'm a huge baseball fan, and obviously coming from Pennsylvania and living outside Philly, I basically, me and my family are Phillies fans, and I basically grew up going to Phillies games. And like, I just really appreciate having Mickey on. This is like seriously amazing to have to speak with Mickey. Obviously, being a former Philly, this is like with the fans and everything. I remember you were talking about this a bit ago, but like Philly fans and being part of the team, whether it's on the field or even a fan, like it's very energetic to be part of this organization. And I just really appreciate you taking the time to come on. I'm super excited to chat with you.
Yeah, I'm excited to be on. I've been part of this organization since 1989, to be honest with you. So almost what is that? 30 years, I guess, almost. So I've had various roles from player to coach to ambassador. I've done all kind of different things for the organization, but I love the city. I love the fans. It's a great time to be a sports fan here in Philadelphia. The Eagles go to the Super Bowl. The Phillies go to World Series. The Sixers go deep in the playoffs, for the most part every year. Hopefully the Flyers can turn things around. But the Union, I think the soccer team went to the championship as well. So great time to be a Philly fan. And I'm just really, really happy to be part of the Phillies organization.
Like 2022 was seriously like a great year for Philly sports. Like with the Phillies going to World Series, like the Flyers making playoffs and Eagles making the World Series. Like it was seriously probably the best time in sports, even though I think all of them lost during 2022, I believe. But at least but it was still amazing time during sports though. Like with going to Phillies games, I mean my family went down a couple of games and got to witness some going to the World Series and everything, which is amazing. But like with being like a coach, and I know you were coaching the Iron Pigs or something, right, in the minors?
Yeah, I coached for about 5 years in the minors.
Ooh, so like with like being part of the organization, you went from a player, coach, etc. Like how would you describe being part of the Phillies organization? Like, how does it kind of mean to be part of it?
Yeah, it's an awesome organization. It really is. It was all really gone back to Dave Montgomery, who used to be the president of the team all through the 90s and early 2000s. Unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago, but he really started a family. Phillies are very family oriented.
Yeah.
Take care of their alumni. We have alumni weekend actually coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend, where they're going to honor the 93 and 83 teams that went to the playoffs. So they're really good about just taking care of their own, and they really care about the fans. I know Mr. Middleton wants nothing but a winner here. He wants the World Series, trophies every year. He's not afraid to go out and spend money, but they really care about the fans, and they do so much out in the community. As an ambassador of the Phillies, we are going out in the community and doing things for the homeless and going to the hospitals and doing all kind of different things out in the community, and that's what the Phillies are all about.
Especially being part of this organization, like John Middleton, like did such an amazing job at his organization while he's been working here. He's been with the Phillies for a couple of years now, but like with having like alumni nights, like I used to go. I remember going a couple of years ago. I met a bunch of players, and it was like when you have those moments, like old teams or players coming back each year. It's usually I think every August of each season, I think it usually is. And
Yep.
so when like sometimes me and my dad would go down for a game or something to go to like since it's alumni weekend. But like when you go back to see old players and see like go watch a game, like you sister, it kind of like reminds us like, okay, well, like to see old players and new players come and go, it just brings so much joy, not only in Phillies fans' life, but like your own lives, like bring back memories of being on this field and being part of this organization. And I just saw earlier, I don't know if you saw this too, but like a part of the 2008 picture, the Cole Hamels just announced his retirement, which I was it was like a long time coming though. Like it was,
Yep.
like I'm a huge Cole Hamels fan. Like he's probably my favorite pitcher, and like wow. former pitcher, and well, I should probably say in the like MLB, because of course I grew up watching Cole Hamels pitch, but then like he's played with like he had like an amazing career. Like he literally went from Phillies to a bunch of Cubs, like Rangers. He went all over the place. But then like when you see that alumni come back over like Chase Utley, you Charlie Manuel with some a big alumni in the organization, it just like brings memories to how like those players kind of impacted this organization.
No question about it. They do an alumni Hall of Fame weekend, is what they call it,
Mm.
or Wall of Fame. I'm sorry, and they'll put a couple more players in the Wall of Fame in a couple of weekends. But when when you have those nights and you see Steve Carlton and Mike Schmidt from the 1980 World
Yeah.
Series team, that hits a certain group of people, older people that remember that 80 team. And then you have the 93 team that went to the World Series and came up a little short, and that hits a certain group of fans. And then the '08 team, and now we
Mm.
have 2022 and 23 team with all these great players on it now. So you get a little bit of, obviously, you get a lot of history going back when you have weekends like that. And I think the fans really appreciate that, and it brings back a lot of great memories for a lot of fans.
Oh yeah, and like you were basically a former MLB All-Star, 1988 Olympic gold medalist, three-time All-Star. Well, all Big Ten, my bad. But 1993 NL champion. But how did you kind of manage to get these amazing rewards and opportunities for your career? Because you had such an amazing career through the minors, majors, and work with this organization. Like, how did you kind of manage to get these opportunities and work hard towards it throughout your career?
One is working hard. I worked hard. I busted my butt. I always had the motto, don't ever let anybody outwork me. And I don't think I ever did that. I worked very hard at my craft. Um, I always go back. This is a fun little story I always tell, because I do a lot of kids camps and things with the youth. And when I was young, probably 8 or 9 years old, we had a one unattached car garage. So you had your 12-inch cylinder block, you had the garage door, and then you had another 12-inch cylinder block, but it was not attached to the house. And we had a stone driveway back in the day. And I would get about 30 or 40 feet away from that garage, and I'd have a tennis ball in my glove, and I'd throw a ball, and I'd try and hit that 12-inch cinder block on the right-hand side. Now, if I missed that cinder block on the right, there was a steep hill after my garage. I'd have to go chase the tennis ball, and I really didn't want to have to do that every time. And if I missed to the left, I'd hit the garage door, and I definitely didn't want to do that because my mom would get really mad at me. So I learned accuracy in my throwing. And the other thing I learned is when that ball came back on that stone driveway, it would do some funky things, and I'd have to try and catch it. Well, I used to do that all the time. I'd make a game out of it. And a lot of people don't know this about me, but I'm ranked 14th all time in fielding percentage for second baseman in the history of
Oh,
baseball.
really?
And I really attributed it to the things I did when I was young, throwing that tennis ball against the wall and doing those types of things and playing games with my brother and playing a lot of wiffle ball and fast pitch tennis ball and all this stuff. So, it was just, I worked hard. I stayed healthy for the most part. The only injury I really ever had that cut my career a little bit short was a torn rotator cuff. And I was 34 years old at the time and, winding down my career. So, it was a lot of hard work and being in the right place at the right time and having the right people see me play.
Mm-hmm, definitely. And like, do you think, from your perspective, like, do you think the Phillies will have the same success as they did during the 22 season to now? Like, do you think like they will kind of be around the same way they were last year?
They should. I mean, I think they're more talented this year than they were last year. I mean, they brought in Tajon Walker. They brought in a couple of bullpen pieces. They just traded for Lorenzen. They brought in Trey Turner, even though he's struggling right now. He's a big part of this team. And you got, the young kids in Bohm and Stott are just playing out of their minds right now. So I think they're better than they were last year. And I think this August is going to be huge for them because they have 22 home games. So they have a lot of home games in August. And I think this is their opportunity to take off. And I think they're the best team in the wild card race here.
Yeah.
And all they have to do is get in, and they got as good a chance as anybody.
Especially with the players in lineup they have, like especially with the trade deadline, they got some bullpen and stuff in which they needed very badly is the bullpen. And
Yeah.
like when they like even with last year, like their struggle was bullpen not last year as well. But then a lot of people didn't expect the Phillies to go into the like playoff. They expected like kind of like for previous years they wouldn't make it to the playoffs. Like they haven't made it to the playoffs in years. I think they made the wild card, but I don't think they made the playoffs. I could be wrong, but
Yeah.
I don't think they made the playoffs aside to like the wild card. But then when you see the players like Bryce Harper and so I know Bryce Harper just got surgery and he's starting to get back a little bit now. But like when you see those players like Trey Turner, Reese Hoskins, which is out, I think Reese Hoskins is out for the year. But when you see all these like lineups and everything with Alex Ball coming up and there's just so many guys, it's like when you see these this team and compared to last team, like you have around seeing young guys that you had from last year and a bunch of new guys that like you trying to build kind of that enthusiasm to make it to the World Series, even though they didn't win last year, but it was a close run. But then at the same time, you're like, okay, well, it's the same group of guys. Like, what could be bad about having the same guys with a new few players?
Right. Yeah, it's a fun group to watch. I think the offense has been a little disappointing overall. I expected more from this offense, and hopefully, in August and September we get a chance to see this offense really take off. But it's a very talented group of players. The starting pitching staff is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Once we get Alvarado back in the bullpen, that bullpen's going to be really solid again. So I'm looking forward to them. Like I said, they got 22 home games in August. Their schedule is not that strong. They have Kansas City coming up. They have Washington. They have Detroit, Minnesota, teams they all should beat. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking forward to them to take off and jump out ahead in this wild card race.
Oh yeah. And like when you were playing, whether it's like in the minors or in the majors, like how'd you kind of build yourself to kind of go higher into the minors to go to majors? Yeah, like I know like when you started out once you got drafted by the Phillies, I think it was 1988, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like once you kind of got drafted, like how did you kind of build your way up to like triple A, double A to the majors?
Well, I was pretty lucky. When you get drafted and you start your professional career, you really don't know what to expect. You don't know what the talent level is going to be. You just kind of go out there and hope you're good enough to
Mhm.
compete. And I was fortunate that I got off to a really good start as a minor leaguer. I hit 338 in Spartanburg, which was low A at the time. And I got moved up the same year to Clearwater, which was high A, and I hit over 300 there. And then I got moved up again in the same year to double A to Reading and hit 360 there. So I had a really good first year, and that really turned some heads in the organization. So I was only in the minors for 2 years, which is really a short period of time overall. But I was pretty lucky. But I just started out hot and kept that momentum going, and the confidence was there. And I was fortunate enough to make it to the big leagues in a couple years. Now, when I got to the big leagues, I struggled a little bit early in my career. I only hit about 240, around 250 my first year or two. But once I got my feet settled in and I knew I belonged, I kind of took off and ended up hitting about 270 career average in the big leagues. So I was pretty happy with my career, and to play 11 years in the big leagues, that's something to be very proud of.
Oh yeah. Like when you like which player, whether it's like the Phillies organization or other organizations that you play for, who was a kind of like your favorite teammate that you played with? Whether it's like an old teammate or like
Yeah,
a couple weeks
you
ago.
know, I think, well, I had a couple really good teammates. Kevin Stalker, who came up in '93 as our shortstop, he's always been a good friend of mine. He's now one of the radio broadcasters with Scott Fransky. So he was one of my good friends. Now, we only played together, I think, 4 years with the Phillies, but he was a good friend of mine. But my all-time favorite Philly was Darren Dalton. Uh,
Mm.
he was like a father figure to me. He taught me a lot about playing in the big leagues, playing hurt, dealing with the media, all kind of different things. So yeah, I think those two guys were two of my favorite teammates.
Ooh, like Dalton is actually pretty amazing. Like every time I would go to the Phillies games, I literally see people have jerseys of him. Like it's just pretty cool
Yeah,
how much those players and previous players have an impact on the fan base. Like even if it's like new players like Reese Hoskins, Bryce Harper, Jason Remuto,
right.
like one of those players that has a kind of an impact like all previous players have on like the generation of Philly fans, whether it's the 1993 fans, 2008, of course, with being the World Series, but it is crazy to see how many players kind of leave as like a legacy or like an impact on the fans.
Well, I know Darren was a popular pet player, and not how I know that is I know a lot of kids. Well, they were kids back then, but now they're adults. They're named Dalton. So a
Oh,
lot of
really?
name their kids Dalton. Then 2000, the 2000s came, especially 2008. Now there's a lot of Chases being named because of Chase Utley.
I
So
like my brother is actually named Chase. Actually, this my brother's literally named after Chase Utley.
yeah, there's a lot of them out there.
And my cousins are named after Cole Hamels, Shane Victorino. Like it's literally just a down the line named after Phillies players. I swear. Like, but that's how you show my Phillies friends after you really get named after the players.
Yeah.
But like, what was kind of like your favorite part about playing for the Phillies as a whole? Like, do you like what's kind of like your favorite part? Like the fans, atmosphere. Like, what's kind of like your favorite part about it?
I think one, my teammates. I miss the one thing I do miss about playing is being in that clubhouse and just the camaraderie with your teammates. But I also miss the fans. I miss these great fans. They were so good to me when I was playing. I think we get a bad rap here in Philly is because we boo a lot. But like I said, they're so passionate and they're so knowledgeable. And as long as you go out, play the game the right way, play hard, these fans are going to support you. And that's what I like about this city in Philadelphia.
You're like as an ambassador, like for the Phillies, like how do you like you and the other ambassadors of the Phillies kind of try to give back to the community, like as ambassadors? Like I know, like you said, like you go to like basically help out with kids at training camps, like and stuff like that. Like how do you guys try to get back to like the
Yeah,
community of the
we,
Phillies?
we do all kinds of different things. I go to the ball games and I mingle with fans and sponsors and hang out and talk to fans and sponsors. No, we'll do things out in the community. We do a lot of youth clinics, baseball clinics. We do a lot with the RBI program. We visit hospitals. We go to schools. So I think the best thing that Milt Thompson is an ambassador with me, and the best thing we do as ambassadors is we go out, we show our face, we represent the Philadelphia Phillies, and we're a part of a lot of things going on in the city that some unfortunate people. We do a lot with homeless people and things like that in the city. So we just want to go out and show our support for all these people in Philadelphia that have supported us throughout the years.
Oh, I love that. Like especially with being the trade deadline, this ended a couple of days ago, and like how the Phillies did. Like, how do you think? Like, how would you kind of rate how the Phillies did during the deadline this year?
I don't think they needed to do a lot. They're so talented. Like, if you had asked me at the beginning of the year, I would have said there's no way they need to go out and get a hitter, not with the
Yeah.
lineup that they have. Now, they have struggled a little bit, and there was talk about getting a left fielder, but I like what they did. They got us another starter. We weren't real deep in the starting pitching area. We needed another starter, and they went out and got a pretty good one. He pitched yesterday and went 8 innings and only gave up a couple runs. So I think they're fine. We didn't give up any big minor league prospects. I think this team is good enough. The way they came into the season, they're good enough to win a World Series.
Yeah, definitely. Like when I was like when it like trade deadline was approaching, like I was like, this is like there's no way they should be trading kind of like big players like in their lineup. It's like basically have like all sorts of lineup like Grace Hoskins, Bryce Harper, Gino, and the rest of their lineup, all their lineup. I think like the Phillies lineup is one of the best lineups in baseball. Like they have some talented players, and like especially if they did needed to get players, it'd probably be somewhere in the bullpen. Because I was like, even they have starting pitching, their starting pitching is one of the best too. And
Yeah.
like, the problem is when they go into the bullpen, it's just like when they do that, like, it kind of goes a little bit of a, I'll say downfall once the thing comes in. So like when like I'll say probably when they came into trade deadline, I feel like when they came to approach it, I feel like they needed to kind of rather get pitchers in the bullpen rather than kind of train like actual players like in the lineup or sign pitchers rather than get people for their bullpen.
Yeah, Alvarado's been hurt here. And once they get him back, I think the bullpen's going to be just fine. Severino seems to be pitching much better. Kimbrough is a pleasant surprise. He's done a great job in the back end of that bullpen. So I think we're going to be fine. I really do. Like I said, August is a great month to jump out here with 22 home games, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully we can take the lead in this wild card spot and get ready for October baseball. That's for
Oh yeah.
sure.
The October baseball is literally like I'm sure with every baseball fan, including me, is like the best time of year for
Yep.
baseball. Even if your team's not in it, like it's just like it's like always great to watch. Like I know with me, of course we were talking about this earlier. I'm a Dodger fan, but like Ian's a Philly fan. Chase Utley actually made me a Dodger fan. Not gonna
Yeah.
lie, but
Right.
that's the reason why I became a Dodger fan was Chase Utley. But then, like once he retired, I just kind of stuck with that. But then, like when they're not in the World Series or in the playoffs, I'm like, okay, well, if the Dodgers are not in the World Series and the Phillies are last year, I'm like, I'm gonna as well just root for the Phillies. Why not? Like,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
but like from like the 1993 Phillies team, like what would you say is most likely to come in and out of retirement?
Oh gosh, who would I want to see come out of retirement?
Yeah, like, who do you think will most likely come out of retirement in 2023? Then at when the career like the season ends, they go back into retirement.
I would love to see John Kruk come out of retirement and go hit about 350 as a fifth. I don't know how old John is now. He's got to be 60 years old, but that would be fun to see. And I'd love to see Kurt Schilling on the mound pitching for the Phillies again. He was such a big part of that team. So maybe those two guys, or maybe I can go out and come off the bench and get a couple of pinch hits. I don't know.
Hey, I would definitely love to see that though. Like former players come back for a game and take out rest of the players and just come back for a game, see how you guys do.
We might not have trouble hitting the ball. Our issue would be trying to get to first base without pulling a hamstring or something.
Yeah, that's actually something I do want to see. Like that, I might have to keep that in mind. But um, what is something about being a former MLB player or someone that was in the MLB that people don't expect?
I just think that we're normal people. We just happen to play a sport that, especially nowadays, is, it's on TV every day, and there's so much social media now. When I played, there was no social media. There were no phones, no Instagram, no Twitter, no Facebook, any of that stuff. So if you didn't see us at the ballpark or occasionally on TV, you didn't know a lot about us. So we're just normal people. We love playing baseball. A lot of times we get pigeonholed because baseball players or athletes in general make so much money.
Yeah.
But we're normal people. We have families. We have kids. We love our families. We do the same things that everybody else does. We go to movies. We play pickleball, we play golf, we do all the things that normal people do. And it's just that, we're in the limelight a little bit more because we're so much on TV and social media.
That's what people I notice like to do, is whether you're like a baseball player, like or an athlete or like an actor or something. A lot of people don't realize like that people, especially athletes, are people on TV or in the limelight more, like are actual people. Like I
Yeah.
remember, like when sometimes like I'll freak out over like celebrities or something or like athletes, I'm thinking to myself like at the same time I'm like these are actually normal people, but they actually are in the limelight even more. And because
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to kind of realize when I see like these people is that like even though they are in the like spotlight, whether they're on TV or something, but it's like it just sometimes make it very hard for people to kind of realize, oh, they're actually people, they're just like us, but like are doing something professionally and millions of people know about them. Like it's just the difference of that being a normal human is that like you are a normal human, but then like it's just a difference between one person knowing you and a million people knowing you.
Right. Right. And, for the most part, athletes and actors and people in the limelight are good people. Now, you're always going to have your person that doesn't want to be bothered, get away from me type of people. And
Yeah.
I understand that as well. But, they like their privacy more than others. But for the most part, like I said, we're just normal people. And the great thing about my ambassador's job is I get to mingle with fans. I get to meet so many great people that I just enjoy it. And we get to talk baseball and all kind of different topics, and that's what it's all about.
For sure. It's like that's the best part kind of like about like what we like specifically do is even though like we do play baseball or do something professionally, like the best thing like for me it's like I know like the most important thing for me, I'm sure it's for you as well, but it's like the most important thing is kind of giving back to people and meeting new people and to kind of learn more about them and how much something made an impact on them, whether it's like Philly baseball made like how much it impacted them. And
Right.
I know with me, like, well, baseball has made an impact on my life. And I'm sure for my brother, I'm sure it made more impact on him than it has on me because he
Yeah.
plays baseball and he hoping he can make it to MLB one day, whatever that's kind of like 5, 10 years from now. And
Yeah.
so like when you play baseball or just do something professionally, like the most important thing, well, for me, or I'm sure it is for you, but it's kind of giving back to people, meeting new people, and to kind of make a difference and make an impact on others.
Yeah, and the great thing, and that really, I'm really proud of is, I'll get so many fans that come up to me and say, "Hey, when you played, you signed a baseball for me, and you were so nice to my family," or I got to meet you in 1993 at this event or that event, and so I'm really proud that when I was playing, that I was able to touch some people's lives, and then I get a chance to, I touched their lives when they were younger, and now I get a chance to see them when they're older, and that's really the great part of being an ambassador to the Phillies.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I remember, like I was telling you this earlier, but I don't know if like people know this, but I actually met Mickey 3 years ago. My father, I forget, I don't know if it was like I like a maybe it was maybe on alumni weekend or something,
Okay.
graduation ceremony or something. It probably was alumni weekend because I think I did go in 2019, but I did meet you with my father. And like I just remember like going up and seeing you. My dad's like, "Oh, that's Mickey. He used to play in the Phillies in
Yeah.
80s, 90s and stuff." I'm like, "Are you sure? Are you serious?" Like I was like, "I want to meet Mickey because
Yeah.
because obviously being a big Philly fan and coming from a Phillies family, meeting players, I'm like, let's go over here
Yeah.
and
That's
like
cool. Yeah.
let's do it." So like I did go up to you and meet you, but that's the best part about like being going to baseball games and stuff is that you get to meet and connect with players that
Sure.
you love and adore and maybe never heard about before and get to know them, even though you probably never heard about them before, or you may have been a fan of them for years. So that's kind of
Right.
the best part about baseball is you get to connect with them and learn more about them.
And now you can Google them and really find out a lot of stuff about them, right?
Oh yeah, That's why Google's for here, right?
That's right.
But I wanted to thank you so much, Mickey, for coming on and taking the time. I appreciate it so much, and thank you for everything you're doing for Philly fans. I'm sure I'm coming from me and all Phillies fans. I'm probably speaking for them, but like I really appreciate everything you're doing, and I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time to chat. It's great to chat with you again, and I wish you the best of luck with everything, and I hope to see you at a Philly game, so hopefully sometime soon.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're at a Phillies game and we cross paths, please stop and say hi. I'd love to chat with you some more.
Of course. Thank you so much. I'll definitely let you know next time I go down the game. Hopefully, cross paths sometime soon.
Sounds good. All
All
right.
right.
Thank you.
Of course. Have a great rest of your day.
Take care.
You too.